All right, when you Glock, you rock. Welcome to the Lock and Load Show, and on gun channels and broadcasting on the interwebs around the world. Going to talk about the State of the Union and a lot of bad gun control laws coming down, and let's see. I don't think we can afford to invade Venezuela because we're already $22 trillion in debt, but we'll see.
It's another 22 million or
trillion.
trillion.
Would be nothing. Oh, trillion. I don't know.
Yeah, it was another 22 trillion.
I don't know. I'll just pull it out of petty cash, I guess. So, personally, I haven't. All I spent money on this year, as far as prepping goes, I bought some books for reading material. I bought Selco's a book. Hasn't got here yet off Amazon. And I noticed Google had a bad day on the stock market today for some reason. I think they're making less money per click or something. I don't feel sorry for them at all. And I guess I've been getting a lot of mails from all the gun organizations about various bills. In Hawaii, they want to ban guns out of hotel rooms. And it seems like all the states that are the usual petri dish test for new gun control laws are getting hit with a bunch of silly laws, and all the Second Amendment organizations are having to file legal briefs. The New York case from the New York Rifle and Pistols organization against the city of New York, state of New York, about transportation of firearms on the highways, and I guess if that's being contested, the Supreme Court agreed to hear that case, and that could have a nationwide impact. But I saw that the Strike Industries had some new 5 and 6 round Glock extender mags available for just under $20, and that looks like something good to jump on if you're in a state where you can only get like 10-round mags, and they might come in handy if the shit hits the fan and you want a little more extra. I mean, never enough ammo kind of. But honestly, the only thing I spent money on this year, prepping wise, is just freeze-dried food and books. And some of them are prepper books, some of them aren't. So the State of the Union, I think I'm doing okay myself. I don't know about how the country's going to hold up with the shutdown's over, and it's just I'm not like into fear mongering, so I'm really there's a lot of channels, are worried about every time a new gun control law bill is up. And yeah, I mean, I hit the, take action buttons when they email me something, or I get a postcard from the GOA or FPC or something, and mail them in and do all the internet take action things. But I don't like, I think it's wrong to when people ask you, why do you prep, or what are you prepping for? Or it doesn't matter. I just do it because it's a hobby and it's fun. And I think I'm just all panic buyed out. Like 2 or 3 years ago, I might have listened to one of Matt's chats and went out and panic bought an extra case of AK ammo or something, or 5.56. But I already have so much that if they banned ammo sales tomorrow, I wouldn't panic. And in Oregon, I think they have, you can only buy 20 rounds of ammo every month. I'd be like, geez, that's terrible. I don't know how they.
I think that's one of the proposed laws. I think
it hasn't been enacted yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just sounds wrong to me. But a lot of things sound wrong, and they get away with it because of like the Ninth Circuit, the go-to political hacks in robes. There, I would say, if anything, what this nation needs is to break up the Ninth Circuit and put in new judges, and just like make the Ninth Circuit responsive for Guam or the Marianas Islands, and then have like a new circuit court with new judges that actually respect the Constitution. But I think, other than just a massive national debt, the country's doing pretty okay. I mean, the thing that keeps America free is that it's made up, in my opinion, of a country of people that have been free in a lot of ways, and just don't know any other way to live. And if the government says they can't be free anymore, then the politicians, then to a large extent, they'll ignore them. Like in New Jersey, when they said everybody has to turn in their standard capacity, any magazine over 10 rounds has to be turned into the police. And so far, nobody has turned in any magazines to the police. And it's just, I don't know, people that have been living free their whole life, you aren't going to turn them into slaves by passing a law, or just probably slaves would be the wrong word. I would just say obedient.
Indentured servant. Indentured servant.
I think slaves is the correct term.
Maybe it is the right word. Slaves.
I mean, that's
drones. I think it'd be more like socialist drones. Would be probably more appropriate. Mindless drones would be more appropriate. I think. Don't be. You aren't going to turn a free person to a mindless drone just by passing a new law, But yeah, so I would say that I don't particularly. I'm not like, I won't panic if all the banking system collapses, because I'm kind of prepared for it. But I'm not prepared because I'm preparing for the banking system collapsing. I like prepping, do it. It's a fun hobby, and I learn stuff all the time. I'm still learning, and I got more to learn. But it's a lot of people make fear videos, and it's like clickbait. But whatever Trump says at the State of the Union, it's just another political speech, and I don't expect much to change one way or the other. I don't know if he's gonna, however much of his wealth he's gonna get built, but I guess he's doing what he thinks is right. Hey, that's not an easy job, President of the United States. I wouldn't want it. But apparently, I won't be very happy if some of the Democrats that have thrown their hat in the ring get elected. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris. Who are some of the other crazy ones? And Bernie Sanders. I mean, sheer socialist, pretty much communist people.
They're communists. I mean, that's the thing is I don't like is we're going to throw the term around socialist. No, we just need to call them what they are. They're communists. I mean, in my opinion. I mean, because to me, socialism, communism is one of the things. Because eventually you're going to get the bad one. So that's why I call them communists.
Well, yeah, they are what they are. California, right? And I guess there's some places in the world, in the United States, where you can't wear a "Make America Great Again" cap without being attacked. But Zorro said he managed to do that, and nobody attacked him except for
a bunch of Mexicans.
He wasn't.
I wasn't attacked. I was more like called very, very harsh. Supposedly, they're thinking I'm gonna melt if they say bad words at me, but they soon realize I speak Spanish, and they're like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, it's like when that interview that was made the rounds on Twitter that where the CNN commentator accused the black guy of white privilege. He You have to tell her your staff should have better prepped you because I'm black, and you're accusing me of white privilege. And it's like,
it's like what happened to me in one of my classes in a debate. A white chick called me that I was white privileged. I'm like, okay, tell me that my first and last name did not set off like red alarm. I'm not white. I'm Mexican. Thank you.
You should have said, "Well, your white." You should have told her white privilege should have.
I told her her white privilege was showing.
Yeah, your white privilege. Oh, yeah, there you go.
She didn't like that at all.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You showed more restraint than I would have. I probably would have thrown something at her. Because that's something I'm sick and tired of hearing of is white privilege.
I was waiting to be called. I have toxic masculinity. I was waiting for it. I was waiting, but it never came.
We need to print up some T-shirts. That's like.
No. Watch. I'm gonna print up a T-shirt that says toxic masculinity with a guy with a sombrero and a freaking mustache, and a poncho, Mm-hmm. That says
toxic masculine white privilege Mexican with tequila and a poncho and a riding a burro.
Yeah, and on the back of it says Pancho Villa.
Pancho Villa.
Yeah.
Pancho Villa 2020.
Exactly. He's riding the.
You should change your name and run for president. I'll vote for you.
Right, I will too. Pancho Villa.
Pancho Villa is riding the whole country by storm.
Hell yeah.
All right.
This is what happens when Zora jumped the chat. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Glad to have you. So, what are your since you're new to this chat? What are your favorite firearms, and how do you adapt to California's like ammo law? I'm wondering how people are dealing with that ammo permit.
That one doesn't take an effect, I believe. Don't quote me. I think July, maybe June, or either. I think in July, somewhere in July or before, but it hasn't affected yet.
So, have you stocking up on ammo or something, or?
Hell yeah! Yeah, I've been stocking up on ammo. I've been stocking up on 7.62 by 39, 5.56, 40, 9. And 45.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think G-Lips did a thing where he just searched Google parameters, and he was surprised for some reason that 9mm is the most searched like ammo kind. And I think that just the explanation for that, if you just like do a Google Analytics search, everybody searches for 9mm, and what that reveals really is that people go on YouTube after they buy a gun for confirmation that they bought the right gun, and because 80% of the handguns in America are 9mm, that's why it just seems to me that people go buy a 9mm and they go on YouTube and then they want a confirmation that that's the right one that they bought, and watch videos about the handgun that they just bought.
Well, I watched a lot of videos for the Chris Vector, and I wanted to get it in 45. So this is my recentest.
Recentest.
If that's a word, I'm making it into a word. Okay, recent.
Okay, I can only expect so much from a Mexican, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to mix two boundaries between English and Spanish and Mexican. Yeah, you know.
So how's that optic, the Holosun optic?
Oh, I love this thing. I love it. I'm planning to.
Is it parallax free or?
What do you mean parallax free?
I mean, when you move your head behind the sight, does the dot stay on the same? Does the dot not move at all?
The dot moves a little bit, but not too much. Not like a red dot. This one's like, I think it has a circle and a dot in the middle of it. I don't know what that's called, a reflex sight or something.
Yeah, that's a red dot. So I was asking if it's parallax free.
So it's parallax free.
So I like it a lot. I like this one. I'm planning to buy another because my next purchase that I'm saving up for is a California compliant MP5 rifle, and I'm gonna put the Holosun 510C on it.
Is there such a thing as a California compliant MP5?
Yeah, there is. It's just a longer barrel and fixed stock and a fin grip.
They take all the fun out of it somehow.
So does the Hollywood movies have to abide by that rule as well? With the
Oh
no.
no! Scarface
No.
can just say hello to my little friend all day long.
oh, damn.
Yeah, it's the if you have you can have any gun you want in California if you're running a props Hollywood props company.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's like the one exception is like for Hollywood, and since most Hollywood makes fewer and fewer movies, and they buy most movies are made by European. I would say wealth conglomerates, basically groups of money people who want to make movies in Europe. They just pool all their money together, and then Hollywood just distributes them.
That's a pretty AR.
Thank you. This is
Mine's been neutered and back, man.
All right, let me screen share Patrick's AR. Present. Press the right button. So that's some kind of tiger stripe pattern on there.
Yeah, this is my 14 and a half. 14 and a half pinned and welded flash hider. This is my M4 clone. So it's my 14 and a half for the What Would Stoner Do project if that in-range TV did.
Oh, it looks beautiful.
That one looks nice.
It's got the rail on top, and is that a quad rail?
This is a rail that goes all the way across the top, but it's got M-LOK slots in it down the side.
M-LOK.
So I can put Picatinny rails down here anywhere I want and on the bottom.
That's freedom right there. That is freedom. That is the pinnacle of freedom right there.
Yeah, he just needs a Betamax to go with it or something.
Wait there. You go. Freedom. Let freedom ring, man.
40 round. Is that a 40 rounder?
Nah, it's a 30.
Okay.
That is the pinnacle of freedom.
Is it an M2 or is it what gen PMAG is that?
That's a Gen 2.
Gen 2.
PMAG. This scope isn't going to stay on here. This is a 2.5 power prism scope from Primary Arms. I'm going to put it on my AR pistol whenever I get that finished. And then I'm going to put a 3 power tan Primary Arms scope on here. And then this one will be
Did you do the paint job yourself?
Yeah, I painted it tan, and then I used the stencil for the tiger stripe.
Krylon paint or?
No, it was a Rust-Oleum camo paint.
Rust-Oleum. Okay. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
And then I clear coated it, so it kind of stick a little bit better.
Glossy or a dull clear coat?
I went with the flat clear coat, but it comes out a little glossy. So, if you're going to do that with the gloss, just spray something else first before you do it, or the non-gloss. If you use the flat clear coat, just spray something to test if you like it, because when you put it on the whole rifle, it's going to have some sort of shine to it. It's not that bad.
That's something that you don't want if you're trying to do a camo rifle. it's
right. Well, this isn't bad. It's not. But it's still, you can still see some shine to it. And then I baked everything in the oven for 1 minute.
Just what I did after I camo painted, I used swatches of. I used paracord and swatches of mossy oak little camo patches that I just put on, strung the paracord through, and then so it just to break up the outline of a rifle, so it didn't look like an outline of a rifle. But
yeah, I was shooting yesterday at the gun range, and 200 yards. You just put the dot right on the 200 yard at the plate at 200 yards, and just bam, 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 bam. You couldn't miss. This thing is stupid accurate and fun.
200 yards. Tiny. 200 yards.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah, this optic, you got a bullet drop combination out to 600, but 600 with a 2.5 power is you're gonna be hard to see what you're hitting, because 2.5 isn't that much. But
yeah, there isn't a range out here that like my range that when I do go shooting, it's like not even, it's like 150 maybe max. So yeah, if that's why I don't have a 50 cal, because there's like no range to shoot that, it would be even challenging. If I'm going to get like a Barrett, I want to be able to shoot it like a mile and see if I can hit something. And but shooting a Barrett and I saw some people like at Manuka where I usually go shooting with like a 50 cal. It wasn't a Barrett, and they were that's like he just wanted to shoot it. Because he just got it or something, but it's like if you're kind of like wasting ammo, and it was a waste of a gun just if you're only shooting at 100 yards or something.
Oh yeah, we got a range here where you can drive out to and shoot out 2,000 yards if you wanted to, and that's nice to have.
Yeah, that's Texas for you.
It is fun shooting long distance.
All right. So let's see. I'll check the externals really quick, see if anybody's typing out there. It's hard for me to have all the screens up at once, so it might be a little while between checks there. See Stan. Oh, it's old man. He's, I think, a Navy veteran from, I'm not sure what island he lives on. Saw him at Alaska Preppers last video. Local 223. All right. So what do you guys, since we don't have a lot to talk about with the State of the Union, what do you guys think is the best handgun caliber? I mean, 80% of the handguns in America are 9mm, but what do you guys think is the best handgun caliber and why?
.357 Magnum. That's what I think the best is.
40.
40?
What you want to do with it? If you want to target shoot with it, 9mm, because that's your cheapest ammo. It's cheap to reload. It's cheap to buy.
All right. So you think 9mm is the best handgun ammo, or then caliber?
It's probably your most universal round. I mean, you can do, pretty much it will do everything you want to do. It's a good target round. It's also a good self-defense round. It's a cheap round to practice with, so it's a good practice round. Come on now, guys, help me out here.
Well, I like 9. I have no problem with 9mm. I carry 9mm. 9mm is very good, easy to control. Like Dusty said, it's easily replaceable because it's cheap. It's plentiful. Everybody has it. 9mm is definitely good. It does the job. And anybody that says 9mm won't do the job is a fool. I mean, I'm sorry, but they're just a fool.
I also have a 380 that I carry, but there's been times when I can't buy 380 ammo for it, which I reload it. But to go in the store, you're not going to pick up a package of 380 ammo every day.
That is correct. I have a 380 as well that I carry.
My 380, it's basically an underpowered 9mm, I guess, round. I guess. Would you guys think that's a okay description of 380?
Not anymore. Not with today's technology and with the ammo that is out there. 380 nowadays is actually a viable self-defense cartridge, in my opinion.
Oh, I mean, it'll kill somebody, that's for sure. But here's the problem I had is when I bought my Ruger LC 380. If the gun wasn't really greased to the max, oiled up to the max, and you didn't have a real tight grip on it, sometimes it just wouldn't feed, and that's a bad thing for self-defense subcompact.
Early 380s was that way, but they've refined that caliber quite a bit since you probably bought your gun, HVS.
Yeah, and I wasn't the biggest expert when I bought that gun, but when I got the LC9S Pro, it's like basically the same gun as the 380, except it's a 9mm, and I never had one fail to feed on it. And it's got a striker fired where the LC 380 was hammer, so I really like. It's the same size pistol. It's like it looks like the same thing, except one's 380, and so I haven't sold the 380 or anything. But I mean, it's just, I think the 9mm is better than 380. If I had to pick, I definitely pick the LC9S Pro over the LC 380 any day. But if you're outfitting a bunch of guys to defend your farm if the shit hits the fan, then I guess it doesn't hurt to have extra guns for everybody that's on your team. But
one of the guns I always wanted is a Colt Mustang in a 380. But Colt had a lot of problems with that gun, and that's part of the reason I never bought one. I just thought it was a cool gun, but I know they had a lot of trouble with it. But like I said, the 380 technology, and I think Patrick also mentioned it there.
What technology do you think is changing that you're referring to specifically?
The way they run the guns, your gas operation systems on the gun, your striker fires, which, like, I have a Glock 42, and that gun is a nice shooting gun, even though I don't like Glocks.
Nobody's perfect. Wait, where's my Glock sound effect? Get a punch at my
Somebody's got nice Glocks. Squib's being quiet tonight, so he's not bashing them.
Well, he bought some Glock magazines, but
Striker Fire sucks.
yeah,
I prefer hammer.
Okay, after all you guys gave your, I'm as far away from the loud machines as I can be. After all you guys gave your answers, I thought about it, and I'm looking at this in Price is Right terms. Okay, when they're bidding, and some people will just bid just a little bit more just in case. So I'm going 10mm. That way I outbid all of you. And before you say 40 cal is the same as 10mm, no, 10mm is longer. So I'm doing this the Price is Right way.
Now, see, if I was going to go to 10, I'd probably just go ahead and go to the 45 ACP.
357 Magnum.
Hey, all I know is I want to get picked that way later I can spin that big wheel. So.
I mean, I can load 45s all day long, too, and they're simple to load. Which I guess I look at it from a reloader's point of view and the cost of actually making the ammo for a gun. 9mm is cheap to make ammo for. A 45 is cheap to make ammo for.
Yeah, well, 45, I mean, the 1911 has been around for over 100 years, and so...
Yeah, I have a couple of those, and I love them. I still like that platform. It's a little large to carry, but I like my 1911.
I like when I borrowed my dad's Glock 30 to carry around in Arizona. I mean, I really like. I mean, no, I what I hate about 1911s is the grip safety. It's like it's an unneeded feature. That was put on, I think, because the government wanted an extra safety or something, and that was basically built for the Army. And so they say we'll, buy a gun from you. We want the gun to have these parameters, and which I think I saw something from the firearm blog that the government has there's a new contract for a new they're taking bids for a new handgun, next generation handgun, or however they put it, whatever that means.
Well, they wasn't happy with the last ones they got.
I thought they just had a contract with Glock, or was it Stig? Or no, who did they win that contract with just recently?
That was with Sig, and they wasn't happy with it.
Ah, okay.
Who was that? Did you say?
Oh, yeah, that's right. The modular handgun. Yeah, where they can change everything out to fit each.
What company? What company?
Was that Sig?
Sig. Okay. And what handgun was it?
It's like that modular one. You could change it from a 9 to a 40 with a slide. You could change
What was the model?
P250, I think.
P250.
Yeah.
Okay.
365, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah. And the over-the-counter model is the P250, I think.
Is a 9mm. It had different size back straps, so you could change the grip size, and you could, I think, change out the slide and barrel, whether it be compact or full size. The thing is, the military doesn't issue compact guns.
Yeah, I think that's more of a civilian thing. I mean, you're lucky if you get a rifle and a sidearm, I guess. But compact, that would be, that's more of a civilian thing, I would guess. But hey, I like my subcompact Ruger, the 9mm. I mean, no safeties at all.
The military designation for it was supposed to be the M17, and there were lots of people doing reviews even before they'd won the bid, even before anything's being manufactured or whatnot. And their reviews are based off of the civilian variant, and they're talking about it like a civilian can still carry. And you could tell these people doing these reviews on YouTube had no experience in the military. So, I mean, people love that. And then the next thing to come out is, oh, we're all going to get cheap M9s now. It's like, no, the M9s the government has are going to be in service for quite a while before they fill the batch of M17s that they need. And even then, they're all going to go into storage for decades before they get released. But these people, once again, no military experience, talking out their buttholes about, hey, everybody's going to just get these
that's
cheap.
YouTube.
Yeah, that's
what do you
YouTube for you.
That's YouTube, yeah. But I guess by the time they sell the M9s to the public, we'll have energy weapons available.
Exactly. We'll have phasers and plasma rifles in 40-watt ranges. I just think 357 Magnum is the best.
You think that's better than 45?
Oh God, yeah.
Why?
I mean, you can hunt with it. You can self-defense. You can load it. You can load it cheap. The only problem is it's not cheap to buy. That's the only downside. You can shoot 38 special out of it. You can load it hot. You can load it weak. It's for law enforcement years. It was the 96% one shot, one stop ratio. I mean,
yeah. Well, they changed the parameters for law enforcement because they didn't want to kill everybody they had to stop. So.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. You can use it for almost anything. I mean, it's a good round to go hunting. You can take a white-tailed deer with a 357 Magnum. You can take you can defend yourself. You can.
They don't let you do it in Hawaii. You could use a 357 if the barrel of your pistol is long enough, and mine is a snubby, so I can't go hunting with my snubby and 357. I'd have to have a full-size barrel 357 to go hunting. in Hawaii.
They,
At least legally.
does theirs have to be what over 4 inches?
Something like that. I forget. All I knew was my snubby doesn't count. It's illegal with my snubby. So, but I like it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that thing is hard to beat. That sucker, man. I tell you what. I mean, for something that's controllable, and works.
Well, yeah, if you have a big enough, if you have like a GP100 is controllable. I mean, I don't know how it'd be in a subcompact or anything, but
yeah, but I mean, they've got them in 1911s. You know, they've got them in tons of other things now other than just revolvers. And I think if they made a rimless 357, you'd be having a whole lot of stuff. You know, some sort of semi-auto that doesn't have a rim on it.
well, I don't really have a preference. It's just I think that for my non-military civilian use, I'm perfectly happy with my subcompact 9mm. If the shit hit the fan and I wanted, I felt safer carrying around the Glock 30 with 45 ACP, but because it just, I don't know, having a big caliber like that, it feels like you got a piece of artillery and not just a subcompact. Even though it's a compact, it's not a subcompact, the Glock 30. But I think if I was going into like seedy areas, I'd prefer the 45 if I had a small enough pistol, like the Glock 30. But yeah, if I was going into a war zone, yeah, I'd have to find a semi-auto 357 or 45 ACP. But I've never been in a war zone, so if the shit hit the fan, that might be different. But for just regular grid up, I'm perfectly happy with any 9mm pistol.
I like the option of having different calibers available to me.
Oh yeah, me too, definitely.
And really, I'm picking the gun more for the gun than the caliber, but caliber does have something to do with
Caliber counts.
Well, caliber counts, but okay. So if I'm trying to conceal the gun, I might want a smaller gun or a lighter gun. If I'm hunting, I might want a bigger gun or a longer barrel or better sights. If I'm just flinking at the range, maybe I want something that shoots cheap ammo. Maybe, but I mean, for me, a lot of it has to do with how well does the gun fit my hand? How does it feel when I shoot it? And how good are the sights? And then the caliber kind of, I mean, if it only comes in one caliber, it only comes in one caliber. If I've got multiple calibers available, depending on what I primarily intend to do with that gun, I'll pick which one I want. But there's some advantages to having everybody on your team with the same caliber or the exact same gun. Obviously, it's interchangeable. The armors don't have to, it's not.
Yes, especially for rifles. If you have a whole bunch of guys at a bug out location and everybody has a different caliber rifle, you can't just throw somebody a magazine and have it work because you all have different. That could be a problem.
But there's also something to be said about individual taste and skill. And I might be better with this than you are with it, and you might be better with that than I am with it. And maybe in certain scenarios, I want you and I carrying what works best for us, not necessarily what is interchangeable. It really just depends on the application. In the military, that's kind of obvious. Everything is government issue. It's all one size fits all. So there's not a whole lot of customization in the military. They kind of frown upon that. You can get away with it once you get in country, but back in the world during training, everybody's got to look the same and everything's got to be the same.
Yeah, I think only special forces get to pick their own weapons and stuff.
And the other thing to consider, if you're in that situation, ammo is going to be tight too. So your caliber you shoot should be a caliber you have a lot of.
And I've been okay. So I've got mixed feelings on that So let's say, depending on what kind of SHTF situation it is, ammo could be scarce. But think about how many people in Michigan own guns. How many people in Michigan own multiple guns? How many people in Michigan have got ammo stockpiled? How many people in Michigan reload? If you come across a house and everybody inside is dead, or they've bugged out and they're only taking what they can carry with them, unless they burn down the house or somebody's pilfered it, you might go in there and find 500 rounds. You might find, powder, primer, and bullets. You can find a lot of things. I know that if I had to bug out of my house, we're all carrying a long gun and a sidearm each, and I might carry a second long gun, but that's it. Any more than that, we're just going to be too weighed down, and it's just so whoever comes into my house is going to find a smorgasbord, you know. So in that case, yes. Now, if it's a situation where everybody's bugged in and there's martial law, even though there ain't enough police and military to stand on every street corner to enforce that, but I mean, more or less it's some kind of state of emergency and people are being told to stay home and only essential services are going to work, and they're setting up FEMA crap, and you're having rations that you got to go to a central location to get or something like that. Then yeah, but at that point you're relying on your stores that you've bugged in, you're all the things you've stockpiled at that point. So I think in some ways it could be pretty good. I think the availability could be pretty good.
Yeah. Well, you look at my area, though. Look how far I'd have to walk till I found somebody else that might have a gun.
I'm sure everybody in your area is armed, but yeah, the houses and farms are farther apart.
Yeah. Well, I'm not so sure everybody in my area is armed.
Oh, okay. The Amish people down the street aren't armed, but I mean...
No, the old lady down the road, the two old ladies down the road.
You have a 44 caliber bolt action, right?
I have a 44 automatic.
No, I meant Squibb's hunting rifle.
Oh.
That's a lever action.
Yeah, lever action. That's what I meant.
No, lever.
It's a lever action, but it has a lever on it.
lever, tomato.
Levers of
Doesn't
art.
shoot very well.
Is there a difference for rifles between cowboy action and lever action?
I'm about telling you to go play hide and go fuck yourself. What's that, Hawaii? What would you want to know?
I was just trying to read this question here. Let's see.
Yeah, read your question. What we got?
That's good. For 357, can you get a Henry? I guess for 357 ammo, he meant. You can get a Henry 357 cowboy action rifle. Is cowboy action the same as lever?
It's a lever action. Yeah, Henry has lever actions in 357. They'll also accept 38 special.
See, you could get a 50 caliber black powder. On the Big Island, old man, it's like good luck finding black powder. I mean, really, it's impossible to find on the Big Island. I mean,
yeah, and for me to ship some to you, oh my goodness,
it would cost a fortune. Oh
yeah, yeah. I would actually have to ship you a lot of it to make it even worthwhile.
Yeah, you'd have to put it on a boat and send a pallet of meat to me. And
if I sent you like 4 pounds of it, it still wouldn't be worth it because of the cost. Yeah.
Can you make your own black powder?
What is the hazardous shipping into Hawaii?
God, especially on an airplane. I mean, they charge you. It's because black powder is a different category of explosive according to the ATF than
synthetic black powders like the ones I use, like Blackhorn. And
it doesn't matter. All that stuff is still categorized the same way.
Yeah.
Explosive. Yeah, I can send Pyrodex or I can send Triple F. It'd be the same difference. Same thing with sending primers or anything. Within the States, I mean, you're only talking about paying like $17 extra on top of shipping, but out to Hawaii, it's
gonna go on a boat because they will not allow that on any explosive material on aircraft.
Okay,
Well,
I ordered
I-
Powder Value, and that's out west somewhere.
Yeah, it's the shipping that's the problem to Hawaii. So
Yeah.
there's just some things you have to accept when you live on the Big Island.
They,
Yeah,
they don't even put car airbags in airplanes because of the explosive charge that's in a car airbag. has to come
No, that you can do that.
At least last time I had to order one from Germany, it was they had to send it on a.
Okay,
They send them on a boat. They send them on a boat over here, but then across the U.S. they had to put them on a truck. They won't ship them in an airplane.
Okay. Boy. Well, there's.
This is all about TSA regulations.
No. I used to ship these things.
We could
The
not.
best
We
way,
could not
the best way to ship an airbag, or a pretensioner or an airbag on a car seat is to ship the whole car seat, because then you don't have to do shit. If it's on the car seat, you don't have to fill out any paperwork. But if you have it separate as a separate component, that's where you've got paperwork, and you have to have special services handle it, and you've got to have a DOT license, and it's just it's a mess. It's a mess.
And you need end user certificates for it.
Well,
we used to pay a lot of extra money to ship the airbags as components, but if they were on the car seat, even if they were live, the pretensioners and airbags, they said it doesn't matter. It's kind of like ammunition. If you send ammo through UPS, you don't pay a hazmat fee. But if you send the powder and primers, you pay a hazmat fee.
Yeah, I ordered some like 380 and some 5.56 during the first ammo crunch after Sandy Hook, and it costs a ridiculous amount of money for hazmat fees. But they would ship it on a plane. If it has to be in a special box, and you have to pay the hazmat fees. But that black powder that they want, I don't think they'll ship on a plane. You have to put that on a pallet and put it on a boat. Yeah. But
I brought ammunition back in my luggage. But one time I brought primers back and didn't know that you couldn't transport them, so I don't do that no more. They never caught it. I mean, they're not going to go off. That's the thing. I mean, believe me, I used to handle explosives on aircraft.
You know what I can't get that I really want to get? I wanted to get like a Zender battery charger, like a really modern digital battery charger, but you can't get it. I can't buy it off Amazon because it's lithium-ion batteries or hazardous material.
I don't get that either, because on the Boeing 777, one of the issues that they had with the aircraft were some of the things that used a lithium-ion battery. It wasn't that it was hazardous or dangerous. They were having malfunctions with it. I'm like, wait a minute. This thing's got lithium-ion batteries in the aircraft. But you can't carry them in the cargo compartment.
Is that the one where the aircraft crashed because they didn't have a pilot training program to teach them how the computer worked?
That was an Airbus.
That was an Airbus?
That was an Airbus.
That's multiple.
You remember when that one went into that field at Charles de Gaulle? Yeah, I think that's what you're talking about.
No, I was talking about the one in Asia that crashed. More
recently. That was a 777.
Yeah. No, that was a 777.
Yeah.
And there's multiple reasons and multiple theories that people think on why Malaysian airliner went down.
But I was going to recommend to you, Hawaii, that when you were in your little trip there to California and Arizona, to pick up, a pound of black powder or something and bring it back with you. And then I found out it's like, oops, can't
they would have like thrown me in jail at the airport and said,
no, they'll just take it out of your damn luggage. You'll never see it.
Why don't you make your own black powder?
What's that?
Why don't you make your own black powder?
Yeah, he could. That's true. I didn't think of that. Yeah. I mean, if you got something in your luggage, unless it's an actual bomb, they're just gonna take that crap out, and then you're gonna have a bunch of orange tape. They're gonna cut your stuff up, and some of your stuff is gonna be missing that isn't illegal or whatever, and they're just gonna have a bunch of orange TSA tape on there.
One time I put barbecue sauce in that somebody was a gift, in my luggage, and they like opened all my luggage because the X-ray they saw some kind of liquid in my bag, and so somebody tasted my barbecue sauce. It's like, how come part of this barbecue sauce is like it was full when I.
They probably gave it to the dog. The dog just sniffed the luggage. I put an empty gun case in my luggage once to fuck with the TSA. I did.
Well, I mean, all the government studies say that like 90% of the stuff they get when they do a test, like 90% of the disallowed items are get through the screening anyway. So yeah, I don't know. Every time I go on, maybe I look dangerous because they always. Yeah, last time I was on a plane, not only did they put me through the body scanner, right after the scanner, they still wanted to pat me down. I was like, okay, well, wait a minute, whatever you got to do, but you just like scan me microscopically with your X-ray machine. Why you need to pat me down? But okay, you know.
How can that be if 90% of the stuff they sit there and get goes past TSA on test, but yet when you go look at a job application for TSA doing that crap, they have all these stupid high requirements of people.
Have you seen the people working at the TSA? They're the same kind of people that work at the DMV.
Yeah, I know, but have you seen the requirements they have for that job? Like what you need to be able to
Apparently you have to be a minority. Apparently you have to be a Muslim. Apparently you have to have not graduated high school. Apparently you have to be out of shape. Apparently you have to be rude.
No.
Apparently, look, this is all the same stuff to work at the Department of Motor Vehicles.
You have to be willing to fill up people's private parts, I guess.
If you read the applications for those jobs, you've got to have this type of degree. You've got to be able to do this. You've got to be a shining superstar and all this other cockamamie bullcrap.
Yeah, well, those aren't the people I've dealt with.
And I know the people you see there and the people they do hire are complete deadhead, stupid idiot.
I mean, like, the Walmart would reject them.
That's impossible. They don't reject anybody. They give you bonuses. They give you signing bonuses at Walmart now, I heard.
Maybe I should go work at Walmart.
Really? I know Sam's Club employees have a choice of 7 different healthcare plans to choose from.
All right, but since you were talking about shipping car seats, I'm going to ask, what have you heard about this thing? GM has to fire 8,000 people like this week or something?
Okay, so this is a good thing in one way, and only one way. It distracts our anti-gun governor from doing any damage to our state. She's so busy trying to save these jobs that she's not up on her soapbox about taking away our guns. So that's the only good thing out of it. The rest of it is not good. Why GM is doing it, I don't know, because the auto industry can't keep up with demand right now. They just can't.
I think part of it was that they're phasing out certain models like the electric cars or something, or.
Well, electric cars don't make any money. Now, I know, like in California, where they're making it where you have to have an electric car by a certain year. Okay, that's fine. That's great. They just won't. They'll just be like, yeah, I guess there's only going to be Tesla selling cars there. Because if you can't sell them in the other 49 states, they're just not going to make them. Electric cars don't make any money. They've had...
You know, what's happened last week, I think I said I'm going to punch the next person that mentions global warming. And then I went to the pool, and there was this guy who started talking about global warming and electric cars, and I was like, hey, shit. I know there's like 5 cameras pointed right at him, but should I punch him anyway? And he started saying, everybody's buying electric cars now because of global warming. It's like, no,
you do the math, and you can't afford it. You know, it's just like my wife's car. My wife drives 200 plus miles a day. We cannot afford to buy an electric car. First, buy the gasoline for her gas car. I mean, just the extra cost to that car does not justify all the gas that you're going to buy.
There used to be government subsidies, which I think are ending or have ended or about to.
Even with those, we even figured those in. You just can't. The only way you can buy that electric car is if you want to be a green person.
The Chevy Volt was a $90,000 car. It sold.
It's a hybrid. It's not really an electric car.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what we
you're right.
looked
But it
at.
cost $90,000 to produce one Chevy Volt, and they sold it for $45,000.
Yes, but yet
Paid for the
at
rest
the
of
same
our
time,
car was paid for by you and me and every other
at the same
taxpayer.
time, you could go buy a Chevy Cruze for like 13 to 17,000. So,
Oh yeah,
what do you buy?
you buy the Cruise.
GM EV1.
Right. So if California or maybe one other state mandate that so many cars there have to be electric of a certain percentage or whatever it is, they're going to have a hard time. It's going to be like that micro stamping, right? The technology doesn't exist, so how can you make it a rule? So if there aren't enough car companies making electric cars, and they want to say 50% or 100% of all cars sold from this day on have to be, what if the infrastructure isn't there to deliver that? Then what? Then your law is BS. And electric cars will come into play one day. And don't forget, electric cars were around in the 19th century. In the 19th century, in the late 1890s, we had electric cars, back when we had steam cars and crappy gas cars. Okay? But the technology went away, and they tried bringing it back at the end of last century, and they just had nothing but problems with it, and it's just not popular.
When are we going to get those George Jetson kind of flying cars that they had in the cartoon?
It'll never happen. That'll never happen.
Look at
never is a long time. Never is a long time.
Tractors for years, but could we ever set up an infrastructure to have hydrogen vehicles? No,
that's not. Yes, well, we could, but that's not going to happen.
No,
you even have trouble finding those stations that'll fuel the propane vehicles.
Well, it's because of oil. Gasoline, oil is cheaper and easier to get out of the ground than anything else, and plus, it's what we have.
That's where the biggest lobby is gasoline and oil companies.
And here's the other thing: until
the military industrial complex.
No, well, until you can get a 747 off the ground on another source of fuel, then it's viable. And if you can't get that thing off the ground and fly through the air, then it's not.
Did they stop making 747s already?
They're slowing production down severely.
Wait, Patrick, I know. Protoculture.
Protoculture. God.
What?
Didn't somebody fly around the world recently on a solar-powered plane or something?
Yeah, there's a solar-powered plane. There's a human-powered plane. They're not practical. They're not efficient. They're not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to have a fuel that will get a 747 size aircraft off the ground. Until that is viable and cheap and plentiful, that's the only. Then you're going to be having gasoline and oil, which we're going to have for the next hundreds of years.
Yeah, you know what? Another dumb law that they have in Hawaii. I mean, they're trying to make Hawaii a completely energy, oil-free, petroleum-free, no greenhouse gas state. So every house, I think, starting in 2020, every new home construction has to have a solar-powered water heater. You can't have any other form of water heater. So, I mean, by law, that you aren't going to be able to build a house unless it has a solar-powered water heater. I mean, in California, you have to have a solar energy panels on your roof for any new homes, I think.
But my understanding was that GM is thinking about closing, or in Michigan, and then some are in some other states. But I never got a reason behind General Motors why they were. Now, if they're phasing out certain models, that is entirely plausible. That has happened before in the industry. There's scuttlebutt going around that Ford is going to stop making cars altogether. Well, that's got to be bullshit for two reasons. One, Mustang. Two, we're making Ford car parts up the ass right now.
Well, parts are always going to be in demand. I mean,
no, we're not making parts to go in a warehouse. We're making parts to go right onto the assembly line. So they're still making cars. So I don't know where that rumor came around. Somebody said, "Oh, well, GM's closing the plants in America because of the steel tariffs," and I'm like, that's entirely opposite of what a steel tariff would do.
The squib came from where every other rumor came from, Twitter.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. A steel tariff on imported steel or any imported materials will create more car factories in America than take them away. So whoever said that doesn't understand how industry works. So I don't know.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about Democrats and I'll just talk about briefly when Chairman Mao. He started out as a guerrilla fighter. He fought the Japanese off, and then he kicked kicked Shanghai Shek off of the mainland. But when he was actually in charge, now he's in charge of mainland China. He looked at British steel and said, "Well, we have a lot more people. We should be able to make more steel than British steel." So he ordered that everyone stop growing rice and start making steel. And and all the schools started teaching people how to make steel. So the problem was when they may have made more steel. I don't know if they but the problem was that they stopped. Everybody followed his orders and they stopped farming. And then 20 million people died from starvation on mainland China. It's like knowing how to get into power or winning an election or overthrowing the government or being a good guerrilla fighter doesn't mean you understand shit about how the economy works. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I mean, she got 18,000 people to vote for her in Queens, New York, and now she's going to be on the finance committee. I mean, she doesn't understand math. And so Mao didn't understand if you tell people to stop farming that everyone's going to starve. And that's going to cause problems.
I'm sure she doesn't understand how to breathe properly.
Yeah, if it wasn't an autonomic brain function, then.
Well, we don't have to worry about starving here because we got Dusty, and he'll feed us all.
Yeah, all you have to worry about is having enough toilet paper if the shit hits the fan. Dusty's fine.
You don't need toilet paper.
I am not cornholing. I am not doing it.
I'm not either.
I'm not going to Dusty's farm without 2 pallets of toilet paper, let me tell you. And some my Irish oatmeal, still cut oats from McCann's. All right. Should have poured my margarita, so I'll have to settle for whiskey tonight.
Pour me one.
Pour you a whiskey?
Yeah.
It was a cop that was sitting there at the stop at the corner. Yeah.
I like good bourbon.
Are you driving around too, Patrick?
No, I just walked outside my garage, into my driveway, and this cop just stopped. He stopped at the corner and looked at me. Like, motherfucker, I live here.
You probably look suspicious.
So, you were talking at the beginning about prepping, and there's all kinds of different ways to prep. There's all kinds of different things to prep for. There's different aspects of prepping, and sometimes you can.
My point was, I just didn't want fear to drive people to do things. I mean, fear can be a good motivating thing, but as far as constantly watching YouTube videos using that are clickbait fear prepping videos, or just panic by ammo, panic by preps, fear is not the right reason to motivate you to do things most of the time. So that was my point. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to give an example of how prepping helped me today. And we're not in a grid down. We're not in the zombie apocalypse. There's no civil unrest. There's no civil war. There's no plague. There's no, the seventh seal hasn't opened. None of that. I use full synthetic.
This is for Dusty. You wanted to drink.
Thank you.
I use full synthetic oil in my truck, and I can have it. Nobody stocks it over here. I would have to special order it, and they're going to charge out the wazoo. On the far end of the neighboring county, there's a dealership, a Cummins diesel engine dealership there that stocks it, and they sell it cheaper than anybody. In addition to that, I can get the better Cummins filters, the Fleet Guard filters, that are 0.5 micron instead of all the other ones that I think are 5 micron or 1 micron. I think they're all 5 micron. And the lower your micron number, the the better it filters. I can get parts from my engine so much cheaper than I can at the Dodge dealership. I'll pick up an oil water separator there, or there's been a few other odds and ends that I've needed. And like the Dodge dealer wants me to buy the whole $180 part when I just need the cap for it, and the Cummins dealer will sell you the cap for $10, stuff like that. So it comes in handy to have them, but it's a long drive, and they're only open Monday through Friday, 7 to 7. So it's hard to get over there because of my work schedule and stuff like that. When I make a trip over there, since I'm burning all that diesel to get over there, and it's kind of hard to get to, I'll buy extra stuff when I'm there. Well, that has a secondary effect of if money's tight or my schedule's tight, I've still got stuff. So if I buy enough stuff to change the oil twice when I make a trip over there, I come back over to this side of town and I change oil on the truck, and then in my shed I've got a filter and 3 gallons of oil ready to go. Well, the weather was good today, yesterday, and the day before. And yesterday I changed the oil on my wife's car. I had to run to the local auto parts store to get stuff for her car. And when I got done, she said, "Hey, don't you have stuff for your truck in the shed?" I'm like, nah, I didn't buy it. I went out there, and sure enough, there it was. 3 gallons of oil and a filter sitting there waiting for me. So today before work, I changed the oil. I have to take advantage of when the weather is good enough to be out there freezing my butt off changing oil. Today I wasn't freezing my butt off. And I also have to take advantage of when I've got enough money. To do an oil change on this truck, if I buy everything, is still almost $100. And then I have to take advantage of when I can get over there to get the good stuff for the best price.
I just go to, you know me, I just go to Legs Brody's for my oil change. It's 2 blocks away and it's cheap. So,
But you could call me buying extra stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I make a trip, a form of prepping, and it came in handy because I'm going to Harrisburg this weekend. That's a 9-hour drive. And I'm kind of glad that I've got the oil changed on the truck now, in addition to the fuel water separator. And I went and cleaned and recharged the air filter too. And it's a good feeling knowing that. Now, what I need to remember is next time I have to go pick up oil, make sure I get extra, and always keep that in stock in my shed. I've done that in the past, but in the past I used to have a lot more money. Now that I don't, I actually have to think about this stuff. So if you do your own work, having some stuff at home, if finances are tight or your schedule is tight, it's not bad to have, because the only time you may have to do an oil change is on a Sunday afternoon or something, you know.
You could be a farmer, Squib. You operate like me. I have oil filters.
Except he has toilet paper.
Yeah. But I have oil filters. I have oil for every tractor I have on this piece of farm. And matter of fact, during the show tonight, I just changed the oil on the truck behind me.
If I had grown up on a farm, being the oldest of 3 sons, I would think that Dad would want me to inherit the farm and my brothers to go away to school or something. So if that had happened, like I guess, you know, in some of the movies or books or whatever about stuff like that, then I'd be a farmer, and I wouldn't have a problem being a farmer. Actually, that's one of the jobs that I would have loved to have done and would have been good at. Farmer, miner, or locomotive engineer, honestly. But even though my family does have a farm down in Kentucky, the farm has not been active in decades, and it's so much split up now. Each person inheriting a piece of it that and I don't want to move down to Kentucky. That was my only shot at being. It's humid. It's humid.
That's it.
I grew up in town, and I talked to my dad into helping me buy this farm, and he lived in town. But I'm the kind of the exception to the rule. I am not a family farmer. It's something I wanted to go into, and I went into it.
Well, it's way too late for me to try to invest in something like that. But if I had gotten into it, say like at your nephew's age, right? Yeah. I think he's got a lot of potential.
Yes, and that's why
I think I would have excelled at it.
I'm happy to help him. I'm trying to get him started at it. We've worked out a way hopefully someday he will take over a lot of this.
Yeah, well, if he does, he's going to do a dang good job at it. You could see a lot of potential in him and a lot of ambition. But that's just it, though. Farmers have to be self-sufficient. They have to be self-taught. They have to be self-starters, and they've got to be rugged. They can't let something bring them down and just give up. Maybe they take a little break, but they get right back to it as soon as they can. And for some people, that's too hard of a lifestyle. But for me, when my work is in my backyard or my front yard, that's part of the appeal. But yeah, having spare parts, having even something as simple as, an extra set of wiper blades, an extra air filter, just as long as you know you're keeping the vehicle. It isn't a good idea to buy 10 years worth of stuff for something you got on a 2-year lease. But there are certain things that maybe if you buy it, if it's not perishable and you buy it and you've got a place to store it where it's not going to get damaged or, moldy or anything like that, certain things that it's not a bad idea to keep on hand because you never know when your finances might be tight or your schedule might be tight, and having that spare part on the shelf comes in handy.
External chat.
That's what I have been doing the last 2 weeks. I've been sorting through my shelves, sorting through everything. And, I have all my equipment for sale right now. And I have been trying to make all my spare parts in a box that goes with that piece of equipment that I sell. Why keep them? I'm going to sell the piece of equipment. I don't need all those spare parts anymore.
Okay, old man in the external says at Squib, imagine what it would cost if you used 2190 mil-spec oil. I don't even know what that is, but
I don't either.
I don't know what oil he's driving clear across town to buy.
Valvoline Premium Blue Extreme.
Okay.
If I didn't run that, I would go to the local dealer and get Royal Purple.
See, now I go different. I would go Shell Rotella T.
Rotella T is fine, but Premium Blue Extreme is a full synthetic, and it's an oil that they tested on this engine when they designed it. And I've seen the dyno cells at the GM Tech Center in Warren, and I've seen the test oils that they use, regular and synthetic. So if they're doing the R&D and testing with a certain kind and it worked during testing, it's going to work. I can tell you that I've ran this oil 15,000 miles or more, and it hasn't, and I shouldn't have. I kind of forgot to do an oil change or something, and it doesn't have a problem. The engine's still going strong. So everything else in the truck, though, is Royal Purple. It's full synthetic in the transfer case, the transmission, and the front and rear differentials. That stuff works really good, too, but that's pretty pricey. I mean, I don't recommend full synthetic for somebody who maybe, they don't push their stuff,
Local 223 says in the external also have differential fuel, spark plugs, and a fan belt ready to go. And Dano says, is Gates still considered top of the line for hoses and belts?
Gates is okay. Dayco's okay. Goodyear's okay. But yeah, I keep some spare stuff like that for the truck and the motorcycle. I really don't have it for the Chevy car, and I should. When I had another pickup truck, when I was running 2 pickup trucks, I stockpiled spare parts for both. But when I sold that truck, I gave that guy kind of like what you're doing there. I boxed it up and I gave the guy a shit ton of brand new Chrysler parts for that truck, and he was just tickled with all that stuff.
Which actually, your oil filter would work on one of my tractors.
Stan says Rotella is good for diesel engines. A lot of racers use Castrol or Kendall.
Castrol.
Yeah, sometimes brand is kind of a preference, but I can tell you this. The old mechanics that taught me wrenching, they all used Valvoline and all swore by it. And I started out, I think, using Quaker State, and I used a few other brands, and they all work fine. I never had any issues with them. But I eventually just went to Valvoline on everything. And it wasn't until I started using Royal Purple synthetics in shop equipment that I decided I wanted to use it in vehicles. But I make the exception with that Valvoline oil for this engine, and it's had nothing but Valvoline in it, whether it be conventional or synthetic, since it left the factory in Columbus. So,
and you know the difference, don't you?
Full synthetic and conventional?
No, of where those companies are from. You know, your Pennsylvania oils are a full, crude oil. A lot of your out west oils are a paraffin base, and that makes a major difference in oil. It's all the base. It's where that base crude comes from.
Right, but they're still going to have a rating, an API rating. So
right, and you run that test. You run what do they call it? Where they run it through that. I've done all those tests before, and I've always used, like I said, I've always used the Shella Rotella on all my equipment, and most of my farm equipment, I've ran the Amoco Dello 400 through it, which is a 50% synthetic oil.
And those are big brands too for fleet vehicles. You got a lot of over-the-road trucks running that stuff too. So,
yeah. Well,
but I think some of it really comes down to preference and experience. I'm not going to badmouth any of those. I've never heard anything bad about them from anybody. So,
I buy oil in 55-gallon drums, Squib. I don't buy it in quarts and pints.
Well, all the old mechanics that taught me said if you stick to the same brand of lubricant, wherever you put it in the vehicle, just like the same brand of gasoline, it is better for your vehicle. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but all these old guys didn't get to be old fixing vehicles, not knowing what they're talking about. So
before too, Squib, I had a supplier once try to sell me a cheaper grade of oil than what I was using, and all of a sudden that tractor started leaking more oil than it was used.
Well, I don't necessarily mean a cheaper grade, but switching brands.
Well, they switched brands on me. They tried, and that oil started leaking. I was using oil, whereas most of my equipment, I don't have to add oil every day.
I mean, I run the same brand of gasoline as long as I have access to those stations. When I leave the state, I have to switch to another brand, and that's fine. I've never had an issue with it. But when I was young, I just bought whatever was cheapest. And when I had an old mechanic say, nope, put the same brand of gasoline in every time, okay. I've just been like that since.
There used to be an app. There still is a website. I don't know if there's an app for it, of like what in your area, where the cheapest gasoline available is. So people would just go buy the cheapest and look on their cell phone app to figure out where the cheapest was.
Right now, there's really no branding on gasoline. That's just like my area. Most of the gas that's in my area, it all comes out of Lafayette, Indiana, and it's shipped right to here.
Well, there's a big refinery in Detroit, so I mean.
Yeah, most of your gas is probably coming out of that refinery.
I think in Hawaii, Honolulu has just 2 refineries in Oahu, and that's all there is in the state. So if those go down, good luck getting gas.
For gasoline, it's not necessarily the gas; it's the additive package that's in the fuel.
Yes.
Techron is an additive that was developed by a large amount of automotive manufacturers. And that's what gets rid of the carbon deposit, cleans out.
You can buy that Techron all by itself, though, right?
Right, but it's actually in the gasoline at a lot of retailers like Texaco, Quick Trip, Shell, Chevron, Conoco, Phillips, Exxon. So you can look it up. You go on just go on Google, type in top tier fuels, and it'll show you a list of stations that sell it across the entire country and in Hawaii and Alaska. But as far as engine oil, Castrol, BP, British Petroleum, best damn oil you can buy. Every mechanic I've ever sit there and technician I've ever talked with never had an engine failure with Castrol.
Patui
is liquid engineering.
Patui.
Patui.
Yeah.
Patui? No.
Patui. Now wait a minute though.
One
Is
thing the
Castrol
Brits can do
Castrol
right
made in
is they-
Texas? Is Castrol
not.
made in Texas?
No, it's English. It's Britain. It's
Oh,
British
like they ever
Petroleum.
got anything right? Okay.
This is the one thing they've gotten right. I'm telling you.
You're telling
Well, I've got a
me
good water
you're telling
filter
me
from
that the
Britain.
Royal Purple that I buy is made in Texas. You live in Texas and you don't even buy Texas oil.
Hell
Piss,
no, man.
piss.
About this stuff. This is the only thing the British got right. This stuff right here. Guaranteed. An entire car company, this is all they put in their cars. This is Castrol. Well, actually, Castrol synthetic is all they put in their cars. And they have for decades. And they'll never stop because they don't have any failures because of this oil right here. This is also the oil that powered the world's fastest car, the Thrust SSC2. Land speed record over Mach 1.
Okay, we've like gone astray from prepping.
Very much so.
That's the only thing I'm saying. British Petroleum, that's the one thing they can do.
Well, I have a British water filter that's pretty good, but
Just because it says Brita doesn't mean it's British. It's probably made in China.
sorry, it's not a Brita. it's I did a
Brita.
video on it. I think water everywhere. Is the name of it. Name of my video. It's the one it's approved by the London Tropical School of Medicine for.
That's not a real thing.
The London Tropical School of
No,
Medicine.
Tropical Hospital or something like that. London Tropical. I don't remember. It was so long ago that I bought it.
It's like that. It's like that convent, Our Lady of the Worthless Miracle.
All right, you guys are gonna make me look it
Or
up
one of
now.
those- Or one of those places you can go online and get a doctorate degree from in like 48 hours.
All right, you're gonna make me look this up. I'm serious. I'm serious about my water preps. I mean, Squib knows that. I gave him a lecture about water preps one time.
Yeah, and I did see the water everywhere video, but I forgot it, so I'll have to go back and look again.
Yeah, I'll have to find it just to remember what the brand it was. I could dig it out of my medical bag, but I don't feel like it since I posted everything online. But I don't remember it off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to go find it now.
Yeah. Engine oil, though, man. Castrol.
All right, engine oil. Can we move the prepping conversation beyond engine oil?
I regret mentioning the fact that I keep some spares on hand. Moving on.
Oh boy.
What about this Chinese railgun you sent me the email
Oh
about?
yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Oh yeah, I'm skeptical about that.
That they have a functioning railgun when the United States doesn't.
That it would be a useful weapon at sea.
Wait a minute.
And before anybody says that railguns were mounted to the back of a battleship, no, they weren't. That was just in a movie.
No, we have a functioning railgun on the new Gerald R. Ford aircraft.
I thought.
No, they don't have a railgun on there. They don't have a laser either. No,
Yeah,
they
they
don't.
do. They got a railgun on there. Yeah.
I know they needed two nuclear reactors so they could power some kind of gun on the rear of the carrier, but I don't remember what it was. Somebody has to Google it because I can't even remember the water. Oh, pure hydration. Let me see. There's also a video called Pure Hydration. Maybe look at the info. Maybe it's in there. Oh, there's the water everywhere. Pure hydration filter from the UK arrived via FedEx today. 4 filters, 350 liter capacity per filter. Cost at the time, 178 British pounds sterling. And obviously the British pound is taking a beating. So Pure Hydration is the name of the company. Yeah, they use Mad filter technology is what it's called. Let me go to their website. I posted it. So I have two videos, one called Pure Hydration, the other one's called Water Everywhere. And there's links in the descriptions of those. But since I've got called out, I have to go get all this information out. Because I did do the research, but I don't remember everything that I said like in a video 2 years ago. So, okay, well that page can't be found, but the Pure Hydration, I'm on the Pure Hydration website. 2017 Aquapure Travelers filters. Let's see. Yeah, I have some of those I haven't used them yet because they're the super expensive ones compared to the other filters I have. Here's Mechanically Advanced Disinfection Technologies, MAD. Eliminates 99.999% of bacteria, viruses, larger pathogens, and chemicals, heavy metals, dirt, and odors. Let's see. Really, why is chemical reduction important to your choice of microbiological water filter, industrial waste, blah, blah, blah. You can, first aid in the field, purifier capacity. All right, the military. I think I got one of their military products. This is the company that provides hydration for the British military, and they may not have the best military, but I assume they don't. They try not to kill their own soldiers with their hydration system. But let's see. I didn't get their armored reservoir, did I? God, I haven't even looked in my first aid bag for like. I've looked in it, but I haven't really gone through it thoroughly in like a year. But I've added things and replaced things, but I haven't like gone through it in a while. I'm trying to find the Tropicals hospital. They have like a. I've got to find it since I got called out, but you guys are making me work now. About Pure Hydration, testing and certification. Oh, they even made a straw now. What do you know? I have some of the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. There you go. After producing impressive performance test results at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. There you go. That's what it is. The Aquapure Traveler was endorsed by Hospital for Tropical Diseases, London, in 2001, and by the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine in 2008. It says, I live in the tropics, and since someone in Britain actually on Fox, when Fox Company Prepper, which he hasn't done his bushcraft, he stopped doing his bushcraft live streams about a year, almost 2 years ago. And it's too bad because I had fun on those. I was the gun guy on their bushcrafting chat. But he mentioned this to me because he used to be in the Mole, not Ron, but Mole Mead used to be in the British military. So he mentioned this particular brand to me. And I did a little bit of research. And I decided that this would be like the best one. I didn't want to just have one form of water purification as far as in my bag for portable. And most of the filters you get, like Sawyer filters, they rely on. It's like Squib was saying, how many microns will get through of how big is a hole in the paper filter, basically. How many microns will get through. How big of a micron particle can get through, and so that's the only thing that they rely on is how dense the paper is. Basically, that filters everything, and this works in a different fashion. It's like a electrically charged filter that grabs the viruses or pathogens because it's charged electrically. Let's see, mechanically advanced disinfection is what they called it. See, the knowledge gained across 2 decades of intimate involvement at the forefront of technological advance in this area, continuing with product refinement, blah, 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 sell, buy my stuff, right? They don't, I mean, I pay for this myself as far as I'm not endorsing or anything, but I basically, it works on a different method than just how dense is the paper that you're filtering the water through. Like that's how the Sawyer works, basically. And the Sawyer can filter more water than these, and for a lot cheaper than these, but this was a different method. So I wanted to have a system that if I had some really questionable water that I absolutely had, was my only source of water, then I wanted to have something that I know would work and clean it in the field, get pure water. And in Hawaii, like one of the places that got overrun was like the hot ponds that I've been swimming in, but people have gotten sick from just swimming in it, much less drinking it. And I'm talking about bad infectious diseases. So that because the water is always heated, some tropical diseases can thrive in volcanically heated tide pools. So that's why I got it, so I could filter even that water. And if I was in the field, I wouldn't have to just only have a Sawyer and boil it, and then if that didn't kill it, I was gonna die from some weird tropical disease. I want to have something that would work for. So I basically, this got thrown in my medical bag. I'll do a screen share on the website real quick, because I just wanted to have more than one choice of filters, and like besides Life Straw and in the field between Life Straw and the Sawyer, which are perfectly fine. So multiple technologies. Let's see. Here's the website link. Point of views. So, are you guys seeing this?
It's like some filtering bottles, maybe?
Yeah. They have military versions of stuff too. Outdoors, military, emergency aid at home. So I'll look at the military stuff, which is probably a lot more expensive. Scroll down. Survivor 58. Personal water for armored reservoir, hydration reservoirs. Survivor Ranger. Aquasac, Survivor Aquasac. Replacement caps and filters, Survivor. And I got one of these inline filters. That's what I got. I know I have a couple of those. So what's cool about that is because I have a mole hydration bag, and on all of my bug out bags and pretty much every bag except for my medical bag has a hydration bladder in it. And these inline filters are great for hydration bladders. You can just plug this right into your bladder and filter it. Although that's usually you want to filter the water before it gets into the bladder, but having one that could go in line is just, that's the top of the line filter. Is something that I thought would be, if you're, I mean, let's face it, survivalism is more than about just having gadgets, but this would be a really cool gadget to have. And it wasn't beyond the reach of reasonable at that time. But if you have like a mole, Camelback Mule, sorry. Mole said it was the name of the guy on YouTube, but Camelback Mule hydration bladder and bag that goes with it, then this inline filter just seemed like an awesome choice to have. Add to my bag of tricks. If I was in the field, at home I have different ways of, I have my own distillation machine, but this is like in the field stuff, right? and that's a different situation. So if I'm not at home and I don't have my GE reverse osmosis under the kitchen sink filter and my H2O Labs distillation machine, countertop distillation machine, and if I'm in the field and I don't have all that stuff, then I could still get pure water, and I wouldn't have to rely on just the technology of a paper filter, that how dense it was, and hoping there weren't any bigger holes that let a pathogen through that could take me out. So that's why I added this to my bag of tricks. So now that I have done all my research, I just have to go find my videos. I got 2 videos about it. I think one was called Pure Hydration, and the other one was Water Everywhere. And I don't even remember what was in it, because it was, I don't remember what I did in a video on YouTube 2 years ago. So, but it's there for eternity if you really want to find it. Let's see. And I got the tropical school of medicine stuff cleared up. So it wasn't like, so let's see. Mechanically advanced disinfection technology for individual water purification. So that's the thing. Basically, when you see like a claim like by Sawyer that you could filter 100,000 gallons with their filter and then backwash it and keep going, that's a pretty good feature. But it relies on one thing, on there not being any damage to the paper, not being any holes in the paper filter, and the density of the paper. And having different technologies made a lot of sense to me. So it's like the switch. It's like there's nothing wrong with a Sawyer. I've got a bunch of them, and there's nothing wrong with a LifeStraw. I have a few of those too. But if you want something a little more advanced, and you can afford to buy something from the UK, or the pound sterling gets destroyed in Brexit or something, and you can get it for cheap because the exchange rate drops, you might want to consider it. But that's why I got it. And then there was actually a London school of tropical, or Liverpool tropical medicine school, or whatever, seemed to think the technology worked. Now, what were we talking about before I got into this shit? All right, stop screen share that stuff. Dusty went off to bed. He saw me drinking, and I bet he's actually went to find some booze before he went off to bed.
What's your guys' next future firearm purchase?
I think I'm going to have to move out of state before I purchase another firearm because of the crappy laws here. I'm not willing to pay the chief of police $42 to be put on an unconstitutional and illegal wrap-back list. I mean, if he wants, I already paid to be for my background check. And then they passed a law that says if you want to buy another firearm, even no matter how many you've bought before, you have to pay to be $40 to be put on this state federal list, which is in violation of the 1986 Firearm Owners Protection Act and the Second Amendment. That basically every day or I don't know how many times per week they do a background, a NICS check on you. The FBI does it for the state. That's how they claim to get around, because it's illegal for the federal government to do it. But basically they do a background check multiple times a week in every state in the union to make sure that you haven't popped up as committing some criminal act. Now, I don't know how I'm supposed to commit a criminal act somewhere on the mainland that would disqualify me from owning a firearm when I live 3,000 miles from any significant landmass. It's like a 3,000.
That's supposed to make sense.
I know, but if basically I told the guy who runs the local gun shop, if the chief of police wants me to pay him $42, then he's going to have to present himself in front of this gun shop and bend over and kiss his own ass. that would be worth $42 if I saw him do that. But I'm not paying $42 to be put on some illegal, unconstitutional list I mean, literally, the governor asked his attorney general, who never practiced law, he practiced politics. He said, "Well, is this really okay?" And attorney general says, "Yeah, it's okay, no problem." And so he signed the law. And it's like, really? I mean, the hunting, I don't even want to pay them $22 for the damn hunting permit anymore, because they basically have passed, laws about what calibers, what kind. I mean, you can't have full metal jacket ammo. You can only have soft points. You can't. They have so many laws that are, and the penalty for it's a gun confiscation hunting code. This is what they wrote up. No matter what, like if you aren't wearing an orange vest, they take your guns. If I go out shooting with my snubby, they'll just shooting targets, not even hunting on state hunting lands. The penalty for everything is gun confiscation. So it's like, I'm not paying $20 for that. I'm definitely not paying $42 on that. And so I read for the chief of police. So I'm like, well, I already have 4 long guns and a dozen pistols. So if I ever buy some property in Arizona or something, then maybe I'll buy a gun when I move to Arizona. I mean, as far as what guns I would like, I can think of a lot of them. I saw a lot of stuff on the, I think the Firearm Guys video on a bunch of new handguns. Of course, most of them were 9mm, but like I was saying earlier, 80% of the handguns in America are 9mm, but I don't really need another firearm. But I would say, I mean, if I had someplace to shoot it, like I was living in Arizona, I'd like a Barrett 50 caliber with a good scope, and I'd like to practice some long range shooting if I could find a range where I could shoot for a mile. But there's no place like that on this island, so that I know of. And so I don't really need that kind of thing out here. But yeah, 50 cal would be nice. And of course, I've always wanted a minigun, but I wanted to buy when I saw the remake of the Magnificent Seven. I was like, charged out of the movie theater. I was like, I've got to get me one of those Gatling guns. They had it in the movie. It was mounted on a wagon, and they basically shut the town up with a mini.
Yeah, I saw that movie. And
I was like, I got to get one of those. And I went to look online, and yeah, Colt makes them, and they're like $50,000. And I was like, well, forget it. I'm not going to spend $50,000. But if I was to spend $50,000, the best part about buying that gun would be to take it to the firearms clerk office and register it, just to see the look on her face. See how far her jaw would just drop down when she, and Hawaii has banned machine guns, but that's not a machine gun. That's a, hand cranked weapon. It's gravity hand cranked. It's not a machine gun. So I thought a Gatling gun, that Colt Gatling gun, if it wasn't cost prohibitive and we didn't have the ridiculous, but I talked to the guy at Kona Guns about it, and he was like, I could order one of those for your Steve today if you want. I was like, $50,000? Are you crazy? I mean, yeah, I wanted one, but I didn't want it $50,000 bad enough. I didn't want it that bad. But when I got out of the movie theater, if they would have said, you want me to just put it on your credit card and have it, I'd have said yes. But when you stop to think about it, yeah, $50,000 is a lot of money for that old technology. I mean, it was impressive. It's like an artillery piece. But it didn't help the gold guy in War Wagon with John Wayne and Kirk Douglas having it on the. But it sure seemed to do a lot of. seemed to be used with great effect in the Magnificent Seven remake. As far as pistols, I hate to say I'm just happy with my Glock, but I mean, there's some other 9mm. I was really impressed with the PPQ. It was just, it wasn't just, the platform wasn't developed as well as the Glock was. That's why I chose Glock. I mean, I like the trigger, but there's more to a gun than just the trigger. I like the Walther PPQ and even the PPX, but I don't really need another 9mm. In between the Ruger LC9S Pro, I might like to get a Ruger GP100 match grade. I have the GP100 Wiley clap edition with the radius parts and the slide trigger enhancement, but I might get the match grade one.
The match.
Yeah, I think it's the GP100 match
champion.
Yeah, match champion. That looked like an impressive weapon. Besides, I've always wanted to get it. Then I could get myself a dual, like Western style pistol rig, and even though they're not cowboy action revolvers. And
you'll have one snubby and one standard 4.2 version.
Yeah. I mean, two pistols are better than one, right? I mean, but I mean, yeah. I like the GP100. I like the trigger bar. I mean, there isn't anything about the GP100 that I don't like. I mean, so I would say two is better than one. So I might get another one if we didn't have such crappy gun laws in Hawaii.
It's a fabulous revolver. I have one. That's what my picture is.
Oh yeah, that is the GP100 there in yours avatar.
I love my GP100. He's cool.
And it's 357.
Hell yeah.
So, so now that I survived the water purification, pure hydration, London School of Tropical Medicine thing, the challenge. What other? Try not to call me out on any like 5-year-old videos where I said something stupid or just because it sounds wrong, even though it's right. Because then I'll go back and prove that I was right, even if it takes me all week. So yeah, I did have a reason for that. But as far as what guns, I mean, I've got all the guns I really want. I mean, there's no. Hey, you go into a gun shop. I mean, probably. Oh yeah, S&W 500 might be fun, but it's not a practical weapon. I don't think. I mean, to carry around like, does anybody EDC an S&W 500?
Not that
I might EDC a 44 Magnum.
Yeah.
Well, EDC, you're not saying open or conceal. I mean, yeah, I'd open carry a 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum. Yeah, sure.
It would be hard to conceal. It's a pretty large weapon. I only dry fired one. I haven't fired, and I got to dry. He let me dry fire one at the gun shop. So that was about it. The ammo was expensive.
I'd kind of like to. I'd like to conceal carry a 44 mag, but you know, I really don't like short barreled handguns. So
well, with Desert Eagle, they have Desert Eagle and 44 mag. No.
Yeah, and that thing kicks like a 9mm, dude. It is so smooth. It's so easy to handle. Yeah, I like the Desert Eagle.
And that's
I've only shot the 44 Magnum. I haven't shot the 357 or the 440 Corbin or the 50 Action Express. But now they've got that new 429, which is a 50 AE cased with a 44 Magnum bullet in it, and it's kind of like, really? So.
All right, did we ever get? I want to see what Old Man says about. No, I never met Tom Selleck on the Big Island. Did the Old Man say anything about the railgun? Because he was in the Navy. He's retired Navy, so I'll have to try and find that. Let me see if I can dig up that. I got so many pages open. Dig up the story.
I just don't see a railgun being an effective maritime weapon. It's effective in other. Okay. It fires in a straight line. It doesn't. It's not used for plunging fire. So the fact that it fires at such a high speed and that the projectile can cover a large distance, that's great. The Earth has a curve, and your target's moving. So not impossible to do mathematical calculations, but I just don't see it being an effective weapon on the open sea. Now, in space, a railgun is effective. And that's what they were originally designed for.
No, because up there, a projectile-based weapon is still useless. You would need an energy weapon in space.
Well, not useless because taking out satellites is not useless.
Yeah, but one of the weapon systems developed for SDI in the 1980s was an actual real railgun. They had a land-based railgun in a lab to prove they could work. The problem is the power source for it and everything about it is so big and bulky and heavy, and to get it to where you could put it in a platform in space and use it, it just wouldn't be effective. I don't know that you could fire the railgun from the surface of the planet and hit an incoming missile, an incoming warhead, because you've got to get through the atmosphere. And even though the projectile flies at a high rate of speed, and even though something old technology like the Paris gun from World War I used to actually reach the edge of the Earth's atmosphere, it's just it's a little bit different firing it. That was once again plunging fire. It's coming back down onto a target. It's not. They weren't using it to hit something in space. So I think it would be better employed in a situation where there's no curvature of the planet to deal with, and it's line of sight.
All right. So, well, the planet is curved. I mean,
right. That's what I'm saying. It would be better used in space as opposed to on the surface. But once again, for a naval thing at that range, you might as well just fire a conventional gun. It's a railgun is still, even though the technology's been around for decades, it's still not something that is as small as a 4.5 or 5 inch deck gun. So, which will do the job.
Well, I mean,
what if it has the range of a missile?
Well,
it has the range of a missile, but calculate where the target's going to be. But once again, you have to also compensate for the curvature of the Earth. If you fire in a straight line at a target 100 miles away on the water, your projectile is going to cut through the water. It's not going to. You see what I'm saying?
I'm screen sharing the railgun right now. I think at least that's what they said in the. That's why I downloaded this picture. But I don't know if that's a Chinese railgun, but they said twin 37mm railgun, if memory serves. I know I have a comment on this on the edge of my mind. Let me
see something that small too. 37mm is a small projectile for a railgun. It's a close weapon. That for them to have that caliber and that application on a ship. I'm thinking they're using it at close range. In which case, I still go, why wouldn't you just use a conventional cannon? It's already there. It's already, we know it works. It's cheaper to use. It's going to take up less space.
Well, obviously, what they're trying to do is get in between their hypersonic missiles and the railgun. They're trying to get a technological advantage over the U.S. Navy.
If they're looking at a 37 millimeter railgun for close in, so they can penetrate armor, most ships don't have armor.
Well, you were saying, I think on last week's show or the week before, that the U.S. should just leave an aircraft carrier in the Taiwan Straits and dare the Chinese to try and sink it.
Yeah.
And
okay,
so,
but I want you to think about how small 37 millimeter is.
Well,
37 mil.
Speed counts. I mean.
Okay, that's great. You're going to have to put about 100,000 37 millimeter holes in a Nimitz class carrier to make it sink. Okay, so I mean, you got to. It's a small projectile. I don't care if it'll penetrate the armor. That's a big boat to sink, and it's compartmentalized. It's not going to cut through 12 inches of armor and then go through every compartment of the ship and 12 more inches of armor and go out the other side. I'm sorry, it's just not.
All right, I'm going to go look at the external to see if old man who's from the Navy has an opinion on this, even if he's still there. But anyway, see if I can find it. Got so many flipping screens up here. Get through them. Get a Hoskins cannon that shoots 1 pounders. That's what he said. I don't know if he's still with us. He may have gone to sleep. He's in Hawaii too. I think he's on Oahu or Kauai or something. I forget. Well, thanks for tuning in. Old man and everybody else. I'm not going to go back and we talked about the Ford class carrier, and I know they had some weapons at I don't remember what it was, but that they needed 2 nuclear reactors to power that weapon. I forgot what it was, but I'll go look at it and we can talk about it next week.
A Ford class carrier has got the same kind of defensive armament as a Nimitz class. It's got Sea Whiz, it's got Sea Sparrow. The ship screening it are its additional protection.
Right, but they had some kind of special weapon that
the
on the back.
Electromagnetic catapult. The extra stuff on there to make the extra electricity is also for the EMALs, the electromagnetic.
I know that's new, and that was a big deal. But that's not what they need. They didn't need 2 nuclear reactors just for.
The Nimitz class carrier has 2 reactors. The Enterprise has 8.
The Enterprise had 8. Yeah.
Nimitz class had 2. So for 2 reactors on a Ford class, that's pretty standard.
All right, we'll figure this out next week. I hate arguing. I can't argue about stuff that I'm not prepared to argue about. So I generally have some facts.
Normal. Two reactors on a aircraft carrier is normal. The sub only has 1. Some of the
sub ain't got room for more.
Yeah.
There ain't enough room on a sub.
Look,
all I'm saying is the Chinese can make their cheap, small railgun, but it's kind of.
You're saying it's a gimmick.
Hey, look. Okay, they also made a freaking laser gun. What was it, a year ago or whatever? They made a laser gun in a rifle form. They're a bunch of they're lying out their asses over there.
All right. Well, let's see if Wikipedia can solve this before the night's over.
Ask Alexa.
I don't have an Alexa, dude.
If you did, you'd just be asking her questions all day long.
Yeah, like what's the weather like in Michigan? 2 A1B nuclear reactors. So I imagine they're different kind of nuclear reactors. Let's see. Okay, EMALS, electromagnetic aircraft launch system.
Right, instead of using steam.
Right. Where's the part about the sensors and self-defense systems?
Hawaii, did they figure out how accurate this That is or no?
Oh, no, here it was. New defense systems, such as free electron laser-directed energy weapons.
Right, they're going to shoot a laser at a cruise missile.
No, I think it was, I'm not sure what it was for.
Old technology again.
They used it to fry a boat in a test firing.
The Air Force has shot down missiles in midair with lasers carried aboard large planes.
Well, I think directed energy weapons, that was like for offshore bombardment or something.
No,
no, you would use a directed energy weapon on a ship to defend it against incoming missiles.
They said it says dynamic armor. What the hell is dynamic armor?
Oh, it's not ablative.
They had ablative armor on like Voyager, I think, but
Yeah.
even that was like an upgrade.
Yeah.
They had to steal the technology from somebody up in the Borg or something.
Defiant. Sorry, guys. Defiant.
Oh, that ship sucked. It probably ran off Castrol oil too.
Oh, whatever.
Okay, well, we don't.
Little.
I guess we have to wait for them to come up with a battleship that runs off of a quantum singularity. But so
wow, wow, you really pulled that one out. That was kind of hard to. That's kind of hard to. Okay, yeah, I can't top that one right now.
Okay, since we'll end on a good note, we'll call that a show for tonight. I like to come out with a.
We went off the rail gun tonight.
All right. Right. All right.
Oh man.
We'll see you guys next week.